When people typically talk about limiting beliefs, they talk about the content. So I am a successful person. I am not a successful person. The content of the belief itself. What's not often explored, and this is why I'm making this video, is the structure of the belief itself. In other words, how are you representing it on the inside? And how you represent, focus on this, how you represent that belief ultimately determines how easy it is going to be or what tactic or technique you should use to change said belief. So there's 4 ways that we can create certainty about something that may or may not be useful for us. The first is what we refer to as one trial learning. An event happens, you form a belief, right? I touch the stove, hot, don't touch hot stoves. Happens once, I form the learning. Now, in the case of a stove, good idea, don't touch hot stoves, right? Let's say, for example, that you are a kid and the teacher calls you up to the front of the class to do some assignment or whatever. You get it wrong, the teacher humiliates you. I was working with a client of mine recently, and he was in an algebra class, and he actually learned how to solve the algebra problem faster, more efficiently than the teacher could, and was able to do it for all of the other problems in class, and was able to get the correct answer faster and more efficiently. And the teacher was just stunned by him, confused. And she had been taught a curriculum and needed the class to learn the curriculum rather than being able to see that this kid was actually doing something unique and amazing. Well, she punished is the wrong word, but to a child, body language, nonverbal behavior, these things are either love or punishment, right? It's either a reward or a punishment. And so she gave him some skeptical tonality. She basically punished him with her body language and her tone. And he learned from that event that to stand out, to be different, was pain, essentially. And you fast forward 10 years, 20 years, 30 years later, and in his business, this causes problems. It's not as easy for him to stand out. It's not as easy for him to be his best as a result of ideas like this. Now, you take that belief, which was learned in one trial, and you change the belief, then all of a sudden, he's a completely different business owner. He finds it a lot easier to ask for the business. He finds it a lot easier to put himself out there because you took an idea that you learned unconsciously years ago and you change it. Now, so that's learning after one trial. The second way that we can learn limiting beliefs is by having a collection of negative experiences. So let's say the teacher, punishes you for having a good idea, right? And then later on, when you're in a job, for example, you bring an idea to the boss, they punish you. You try to do something for a customer and it goes over poorly. It's a failure, you get laughed at, whatever it is, right? You have a series of bad examples of something, or a series of quote unquote bad examples. Depending on your age, we can be hypersensitive to these or not, right? So the other way we can form this is by having a lot of examples of a negative behavior, right? So I worked with a business owner who was a quote unquote lazy person. And an idea like I'm a lazy person is not a good thing to believe about yourself, especially in business. And remember that beliefs create self-fulfilling prophecies. They turn on and off your ability. So if you believe you're lazy, you're literally shutting down your ability to get motivated, to be disciplined, to be taking inspired action, because the belief itself cuts off you from those resources within you. So in changing that belief, all of a sudden she's getting up earlier. She's taking more disciplined, consistent action, booking more appointments in her business. And with that belief in particular, she had a lot of examples of her being lazy, that sleeping in the morning, avoiding her key revenue generation activities. That belief was formed off of, instead of one trial learning, one example, the stove's hot, right? Lots of examples of being lazy. How we change these beliefs depending on how it's showing up for the client, may be quite different, And this is why sometimes affirmations work for people, although almost no one is teaching people how to language affirmations correctly. And I'll do a separate video on that. But even if they're languaged correctly, if you go in to just start asserting a new conviction, but you have a collection of negative experiences, what you're doing is you're creating a war within yourself, an inner parts conflict, so to speak. It's not really a war. It's not really two parts of yourself fighting, but you have conflicting ideas. And as long as you're certain that you're lazy, and then you start amping up the certainty that you're inspired, motivated, driven, successful, blah, 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 then they're fighting each other. What we want to do is we want to take the negative experience, the negative belief, and change it or transform it. Teach your mind what to do with those experiences so that you no longer perceive them with certainty. You de-believe them, de-belief. And so we have beliefs that you learn after one trial. We have beliefs that you learn because you have a collection of negative events. Another example, I got my hair cut this weekend, and my stylist, she was talking about the new guy that she's dating. And one of the things that she said is that it's very difficult for her to trust because she has dated a bunch of guys who were not trustworthy. She has a collection of experiences. And unfortunately, she's dragging that into her future relationships, right? You're dragging your beliefs about yourself into your business. This is why the most important thing you can do is develop a practice for going in and evaluating what attitudes, beliefs, mindsets am I bringing into my business, because they are responsible for your results. Your belief system equals your results, period. The third way that we can have limiting beliefs, you can have a collection of negative experiences with a couple of positive, right? So in my hairdresser example, let's say she's dated 10 guys and 8 of them were awful. 2 of them were great. Okay. Let's say that you're a real estate agent and every time you've gone to make calls to your database or to new business, whatever, most of the time people are rude, annoyed, cold, etc. And a couple of times they're nice to you, at least so far in your experience or how you've been remembering it. A lot of times what you find is when you learn to change the beliefs, you actually remember things differently. Remember, memory itself is influenced by our belief system. So what you remember from your own past history has everything to do with what you believe. It doesn't mean that changing your beliefs make your memory more accurate or less accurate, although it can. What I am saying is that changing your beliefs teaches your mind what to search for in your personal history. A person who believes they're lazy will tune out memories in their past when they were motivated. There are things that quote unquote lazy people get motivated to do. And if you have the belief that you're lazy, you won't access those memories. Belief is formed by noticing experiences and stacking them together in such a way where you become certain about it. So you can have a limiting belief where a couple of good things happen and a bunch of negative things. The fourth and final way is ambiguity. In other words, 50% negative, 50% positive, right? What's an example of this? I'm a persuasive person, right? A lot of the business owners that I work with, actually every business owner that I work with has to persuade. It's just inevitable, either your team or to sell your product or service, right? We're all in the business of influencing. Well, maybe if we take an identity level belief, like I am influential, right? Or if you even look at their beliefs within their process itself, sales is XYZ. Overcoming objections is easy or hard, right? Or they're good at it or they're not good at it. They could have a bunch of examples that they're referencing for not being able to overcome objections. and a bunch of examples in which they can, and which gives you 50-50. The problem with this is that it doesn't produce certainty, and certainty is what drives performance. So if you're looking to increase the quality of your, increase your revenue, right? Increase the cash flow, then you have to be totally clear on number one, your strategy, but number two, you have to look at how are you thinking in the execution of said strategy? What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about the activities? What do you believe about your customer? The best thing you can do for yourself is get yourself a coach, or rather learn for yourself how to change these beliefs. And if you can do that, at the very least, you have a place where you can go so that you can start to change these beliefs. Changes happen quickly, really, really quickly. Change at the unconscious level is fast. The question is, do you know where to make the change? The old metaphor of the plumber, right? The plumber taps on the pipes, right? He knows where to change the pipe, where to fix the pipe. And that's why he's so valuable. All right, so there's 4 types of limiting beliefs: content versus structure. And this is only a video for you to start getting more interested, more curious, more committed to mastering your mindset, your belief system, your states of consciousness, because the tools are out there. People like me sharing these tools. And I really want to invite you to go learn these tools, because the great thing about a belief system, more importantly, learning to change it, when you can learn to change your beliefs, that's a skill that you take to every area of your life. And as you scale and grow, you can update those beliefs to meet the needs of a situation as you do so. All right, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this, because more people need this type of info.